Welcome back, everybody, to the Attract and Stand Out podcast. I'm your host, Darlene Hawley, and I have with me today Ann Huntington Sharma. She is the president and board member of Huntington Learning Center, the nation's leading tutoring and test prep provider, and oversees business growth, business strategies, initiatives, including partnerships, marketing, digital transformation, and the franchise expansion. And I am so excited to have you here today. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much, Darlene. I'm really excited to be here.
Yes, I am so stoked to have you here because I know your company. I've seen it around for, I think, my whole life, which I know you didn't start it. Your parents started the Learning Center, but I'm super excited just to hear kind of the story for yourself and a little bit too, also, if you want to go into like how your parents started the business and what that was like growing up inside of it. But tell me a little bit about the background of Huntington Learning and like what you're excited about with it.
Oh my goodness. Well, we could chat a lot about this. So again, I'm Ann Huntington Sharma. Huntington Learning Center was founded by Dr. Ray and Eileen Huntington, who are my parents. So holiday times, their mom and dad work there, Eileen and Ray. I sometimes joke, but it's actually true. I'm center number 17. So when they weren't opening centers, they had a child. So they founded it in 1977. So this will air in January of 2022. So we are in our 45th year, if you can believe it, which is amazing.
Let's stop for a second. Like celebrate that 45 freaking years in business. Like
yes,
for continuing on that legacy.
Thank you. And of course, like any business, there are ups and downs, and you get stronger as you learn, and you get stronger the more you have folks who are involved in the business and lesson learned and all that. So June of 1977, Eileen and Ray started with one center. Eileen was a tenured teacher and Ray was a statistician and a business analyst, and they saw a need. They saw that students were, they had some sort of gaps. It didn't matter where the student was, what type of community it was. There were students who were missing fundamental gaps. And in a classroom with 10, 20, 30 students, a teacher who is a superstar may not be able to get to all of those students. So my mom saw that there was this serious issue, and she and my father opened up their first Huntington Learning Center in June of 77. They opened their second in March of 78. And now we have a network of 300 plus locations across the United States. So it's been a fantastic growth trajectory and growth story. And the reason why we're in business is we're a mission-driven company. Our mission since day one has been to give every student the best education possible. And over the years, we've created a vision statement, which is world-class student results and franchisee profitability. So we get the results for the students. And that's why we're in business. Our methodology works. It's absolutely tremendous what we're able to accomplish each and every day. And it's really exciting. And it's a wonderful, wonderful business that folks who I know you were sharing with me, folks who listen to this podcast might be interested in getting into business. So we're a franchise, which the slogan within franchising is you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. So an individual who's an entrepreneur who wants to make a difference, also wants to do well financially, can open their own Huntington Learning Center in their community, which is just absolutely remarkable. And I became president in October of 2019. I've been with Huntington full-time for about 8 or so years, part-time. Basically, my whole life, I was a student when I was a child, and then worked in our call center, and then had a career outside of Huntington, which was very important for almost a decade, and then joined the family business.
So amazing. I love that. I love the story just of how your parents started the business and the fact that you're so mission driven to really support not only the kids in the community, but then also helping other people, start businesses within their community that they can give back in such a big way. As we all know, I feel like I'm going to say we all know this, whether we do or not, who knows. But it's so important, like the future generation of our children, to make sure that we're giving them all the tools and the resources that they need. And I can only imagine how much parents are needing your support over the past, I don't even know what it is, 20 20 months now with the pandemic. And I know I virtually schooled my kids for a full year, and I was definitely not prepared for that. And I know a lot of parents have had the same thing. So I can imagine the support that you've been able to give to the community during that time as well has been like such a blessing.
Has been such a blessing, and it's been tremendous. Now, prior to the pandemic, we were solely brick and mortar. So in a matter of days, we had to turn all of our processes online so we could continue to help the families who've trusted us to help their students. And it's also enabled our franchisees, should there be state mandates or COVID positive or whatever the case may be, they can virtually keep their business open. So it's been excellent to make sure that students continue to get the education they need. And it's been excellent because our franchisees stayed in business. And because of the pandemic, we saw, similar to what you just said, so many folks were homeschooling, trying to wear all the different hats and stay sane throughout it all. So we launched a whole host of different initiatives, from free webinars that were weekly, sometimes multiple times a week, for families for resources. So how do you deal with a student who you're at home with who has ADHD? How do you deal with the stress of all the potential issues that are going on in your home and outside? So it wasn't just the Huntington curricula. We were going and making sure that that social emotional learning, giving tools for parents and educators so they could help their children succeed in that very, very uncertain time. And then we actually also launched new initiatives to help students, such as Huntington Performance Coach, which is really organizational skills, study hall, so parents whose children were attending virtual school, they could actually attend a local Huntington Learning Center and actually be at their school. So have their virtual school in front of them, but be at a Huntington Learning Center being proctored by a tutor. So through this crazy 20 plus month moment we've been in, a lot of innovation has been born. And it's a testament to our entire community of franchisees and our amazing team at our main office.
Yeah, I can only imagine the pivot, like as you started to find out like the world is closing and that life as we know it is like shutting down and our kids aren't going to be going to schools, and you have a brick and mortar. I didn't even think about that when we started talking, but yeah, all of your locations, brick and mortar, kids came into your facility to get the tutoring and the education support they needed. And all of a sudden,
Yes.
switch, which I know pretty much everybody in the whole world switched at that exact same time. I'm curious, what were you feeling and thinking as like the president of the company, and knowing you're like leading that initiative? Like, what were some of the thoughts that were going on for you as you did that transition?
Oh my gosh. Well, we have a bunch of fantastic centers in the Seattle market. So we had a bit of runway before it impacted the entire country. So I was on the phone with team members day and night, making sure that we could problem solve together. And my mantra throughout it, and it continues today, is anything is possible. And it truly is true. We have made the impossible possible. So my thoughts at that moment were, there's no failure. We're going to make it work. And the team has to come together to make it work. And we did. There were a lot of sleepless nights. There were a lot of calls with my attorney at 1, 2 a.m. to troubleshoot, to figure out what is best for the entire system. There was a lot of emotion in there, and I had to remove that emotion and base all the decisions on fact, which can be difficult because we're all human and we're all going through that moment together. So it was a moment of a lot of different thoughts. And then I would step back and say, okay, what is best for the system? How do we ensure we can continue our mission and make sure that our franchisees stay in business? So it was a lot of grounding, a lot of fright or flight, just got to do it, a lot of adrenaline, and we did it. So I'm so grateful and fortunate to the entire Huntington Learning Center network, but a lot of thoughts. And I'm also very grateful and thankful to my husband, who at the time we weren't married. We got married during the pandemic, and he was definitely a rock throughout the entire process.
Yeah, and I can imagine you needed that extra support at home, just as your just
Yes.
yourself, your mental wellness going.
Exactly.
We were navigating such a huge pivot in such a vital time when our children needed it the most. So
Exactly. I mean, I'll tell you one quick human type story. So I was just going 24/7. And one day he literally picked me up and brought me outside and put me on the grass and was like, you need to ground yourself now. You have to just be on the grass for a little bit, have the sun there so that the rays get back to nature for a moment. And that was a moment where I was like, okay, I gotta stop for a moment.
and you have a good one then too, right? Like the fact that he was so supportive and he realized like that you needed to like just kind of come back down to,
Yes.
nature and check in with yourself and have that ground
Mhm.
like that's something that's so supportive. And I know as entrepreneurs and running these businesses, like we need supportive people in our corner that are not going to only be pushing us in the career space, right, as we're growing our business in that spot, but really just to keep us centered at home. And so I'm so happy that you married him because apparently I love that.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm curious with obviously kind of like putting away the past like 20 months and that being probably one of the most challenging things that you've ever done as you run the organization. What would you say has been some of the biggest struggles or challenges that you've seen just with like marketing visibility, putting yourself out there to really expand and continue on as you've taken things over?
It's a great question. And the education market, the education industry is booming, which is fantastic. And I love to see that there's interest in this industry because our students, our children need as much support as possible. So as we're moving forward, we're staying with traditional marketing initiatives such as direct mail, broadcast television, and being supplemented by more digital. So be it social media, be it SEO, and other types of creative initiatives to make sure that the families know we are there. And the key to Huntington is really that individualized attention. And so with us, we value something called the Huntington Homeschool Connection. So our franchisees, those small business owners and their staff will go out into their communities and build relationships with the schools. And so that is a really fantastic way for the schools to know we're there and know the efficacy of the program and our results. And it's also good for the schools as a referral pipeline. So that we call it ground marketing, where you're going and you're building those relationships in your community. So in terms of making sure folks know that who we are and that we are a solution, it's at the local level, then the regional level, and then the national level. And so we have a fantastic advertising fund board, which allocates a certain percentage of each franchisee's center revenue. And then we create collateral and we create different initiatives that help with marketing. So we can go on and on about marketing, but the key is folks need to know we are an option. And if there isn't a Huntington Learning Center in that individual's community, then they can reach out to us and potentially open their own Huntington Learning Center. And then we would provide them with all of the roadmaps and all of the collateral that they need to succeed, from brand standards manuals to going through our very robust training, and then ultimately being able to help the student once they open.
Yeah, I love that. I love the fact that you're going in, especially making those connections with what I call strategic alliance partners. It's so like when you have a similar, and I don't know that students are ideal clients necessarily, but I guess that's the right word. But you're targeting the parents and the students to make sure they know that you're there to help. And the fact that the school sees so much of that early on and they can be a partner and a resource to can make those connections. I absolutely love that you guys are going out and like building those relationships, because that's something I talk with my clients all the time about. Is it's so important to like know who else is talking to the same people as you, and you can pass those referrals back and forth. You can build that connection, you become friends, and it's an easy conversation to like, oh, you need to speak to the Huntington Learning Center because they're gonna be able to help your child. Or if you're a coach and you're looking to grow your business with other CPAs or attorneys, different people who are talking to the same people that you are, it takes away some of the stress and it's an easy introduction to start those conversations.
Exactly. And our best referral source is the family who has a success story. So in 50 hours of tutoring, our students will go up over 2 grade levels in reading and math. Now, you homeschooled your children last year, so you understand, wow, in order to get to that point, how do you get there? And that's the average. That's on our learning center, our tutoring side, and on our test prep side, which is namely SAT, ACT. On average, our students will go up 229 points on the SAT and 5.4 points on the ACT. So we get the results. So families who may have had a student who, let's say, is getting B minus, okay, and then all of a sudden goes to Huntington A pluses, 90s, however the school is grading that child, it's not only that the grades improve, the confidence and the motivation improves, which completely changes the dynamic within the household and completely changes the trajectory for that student as they're going forward in their academic career.
Yeah, the confidence level that I know the kids get when they make progress and they see that big difference because they get the support they need and they're starting to see change. I know my son has gone up like, I think it was like 49 points on his diagnostic in the past month. It's so funny because he's very prize oriented apparently, but they offer the top 2 students for reading and then like taking like the comprehension test afterward that had the most points would get a pizza party from each class for the school. And my kid, who would read occasionally when he had to, like he'd do his 20 minutes after school, he has read like 40 books in the past month, and he is battling for second place. I think the competition either ended last night or ends this morning. But
congratulations.
But he, like, the fact that he was so incentivized by a pizza party, which I just think is hysterical, for him. Like, he's just like, free pizza, like I'm in, like, let me read all the books. But it's amazing to see like the growth that he had just because of his excitement about a pizza party. So I can imagine like going into a center like yours where they're seeing other kids doing things that they're doing, they're finally seeing like the progress that they're taking for themselves. And then they're able to like bring that into the real world. Like, it's amazing to see, and it's exciting for them to just build that confidence. It's so, school's hard. Like the expectations of what they're learning nowadays, I feel like versus when I was in elementary school, even it's different, and the level, like the pressure is a lot higher and there's a lot more expectations on them. So I love that they have like that ability to get the support they need and like build their confidence. And it's only going to help as they turn into adults. And their world.
Exactly. And it's brilliant to see. I mean, you saw that with your son in a short period of time. We see this with our students daily, where it's that aha moment, and then it's, okay, the world's my oyster. I'm going to do anything and everything because now I have those tools and I have that confidence to succeed. So it's very, very rewarding.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious, when you think of success for Huntington, what is success like when you think, and I guess I'm even thinking like as you move, even like years from now, when you choose to move on from Huntington, or I don't know if you give it to your family or like what that looks like, but like, what do you want to see for like the legacy, and what would be success for you as far as like what you would like to see happen while you're in control and in charge, whatever the right word is, but like as you're leading this.
But in order to see success, it's really to see growth with the students and growth with our franchisees. So as president and as a board member and as an owner, I want to see more folks coming in and joining us as franchisees. There's tremendous white space throughout the United States, meaning there's a lot of opportunity for more Huntington Learning Centers. And then if we're looking towards the way future, I would say more Huntington Learning Centers, not only in the United States, but across the globe. And now with online tutoring, it creates a sense of access that we as a whole team, and we have different councils to ensure the voice of the franchisee is heard and ideas are listened to. We're figuring out what does online look like for the long term within the company. So success is really the result of our students and the results of our franchisees. That's the key. And be it, now my middle name is Huntington, be it a Huntington in charge or someone who is not a Huntington in charge, it's making sure that that legacy, that mission-driven approach, and the Huntington methodology stays intact. And that could be in 100 years, 150 years, to make sure that we can continue to make a difference the Huntington way.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm curious, like when you think of what's coming up next for you guys and as an organization, as a company, what do you want to see happen even in 2022? Like what are some of your short-term goals that you'd like to see?
Short-term goals, we have a fantastic management team, and we have been doing this for 45 years. Earlier this year, our CFO, who had been with Huntington for 24 years, he retired, so we have a new CFO, and we have folks who are moving up the ranks internally. So from a people perspective, I want to see the management team get stronger and stronger. We have a very, very strong and tenured team. So I want to make sure that we have the right folks in the right positions, which is just fantastic because we already have it. So we'll just get stronger. And then also growth from a franchise development perspective, more Huntington Learning Centers across this country. And then also really buttoning up our online offering. We had to put it together really fast, and we did, and it works, which is tremendous. And now how do we invest more? And we've been investing even throughout the pandemic in technology, invest more in a lot of our legacy systems to upgrade them to make sure that they can have more students, more Huntington Learning Center. So it's a lot of growth. It's a lot of investment, specifically in our R&D and our IT departments, and bringing the right people into positions. I feel very confident that if we were to have this conversation next year, this time, and you held me to those three, I would say we did it plus three more. So very, very, very attainable goals. And then also internally, we have folks on who are high achievers in terms of they knock it out of the park from a revenue perspective. And then we also have folks who are on the other end of the spectrum. So internally as a team, one of our goals is to move those folks who aren't the high achievers and get them to move up. And we have different tiers. So move them up into tiers so that they all know that they have the support. And we've already started operational initiatives such as Operation Success, where we bring folks who have the potential of doing very well, but they haven't achieved it yet, to give them more tools to succeed.
I love it. Such great goals. And I love that you were like, I'm very confident that these goals are going to happen. And I love that you have you've mapped out exactly what you want to see happen, which is so important. I'm always working with my clients and I'm like, we have to have a plan in place. We have to know what we're shooting for. So many times when my clients first come to me, they're like, I have these goals, but I haven't wrote them down, or, oh, I kind of gave up on those and started doing this other thing instead. And it's so powerful when we can set those goals at the beginning of the year, or as most of us, we're recording this interview in December. Most of us are in that reflect, celebrate, rest, recharge, and start dreaming of what we want for the new year. And so when we can actually do that, take that time to celebrate and process everything that's gone amazing, and then also reflect on what didn't work and how we can strategize for the new goals for the new year. And then we can actually go out there and, make them obtainable, do the things and take the steps that we need to get progress and to move forward. It's so cool to watch that happen inside businesses.
Absolutely. And I think the key is accountability. So you're working with your clients, right? So they have to have accountability towards you. We discuss what I just shared with our team, so everyone knows, okay, this is what we're striving towards. And right now, yes, you shared, we are recording it in December. We're firming up all our budgets for next year. And we have a very specific focus where we're making sure that all the departments know that that's the focus. Because in a silo, an individual department may think that everything that department needs to accomplish is the most important project and the most important thing for the company. But once you break down that silo and you have the conversation with the other team members, the other departments, Then all of a sudden there's a company goal or company goals. And we've worked really hard to make sure that those silos are broken down and everyone understands that these are the reasons why certain projects are prioritized in the way that they need to be prioritized. So it is definitely a moment of reflection, but we got to go. We got a lot to accomplish in a very short period of time.
Yeah. And I love that you take that big picture for the whole organization and you share it with the whole team, because you're right. I remember when I was in retail management, like we had big team goals, but we also had individual goals as well. But we had to understand our part of the goals, like where the bigger cause was, where it was going to take us as a company and what it was going to do. And I think when we bring the team in to see like the big picture, as well as some of the small steps to get us there, everybody succeeds when we share in that bigger, broader way. And it's not like everybody's working individually in their own little department and has no clue what the heck everybody else is doing. But when they have that big mission and that big goal to look forward towards, it excites the whole team and it gets everybody involved and helps them all step up and show up in that bigger and brighter way.
Exactly.
And this has been so much fun. I just absolutely adore you and like the legacy that you're leading and what you're bringing out. I'd love to go hop into some rapid fire questions just to get to know you at a little bit more of a personal level. I'm super curious. What are you binge watching on TV right now, or Netflix or Hulu or like all the places?
All the places. Well, I've been binge watching it, but now it's released every week. It's Succession, which is a fantastic show, and it is a family business, though it does not reflect all family businesses, that's for sure. Yes. But that's one that I have been binge watching, and I'm excited for the new Sex and the City that I think comes out today.
I did not know that was coming out. I will have to look it up. Awesome. And what are you reading right now? Is there a book on your nightstand or on your desk?
There is. Siddhartha's on my desk. So that's what I'm reading. And I just finished, it's like a workshop book. It's The Creative Way, which really helps with getting those goals down on paper, what you want to succeed, and the vision board. So Siddhartha, I just finished the foreword, and I'm excited to delve into that. I read that when I was in school many ages ago. So excited to read that.
Yeah. If you could say something to your inner child, Anne, what would you say to her?
Oh, I would say, don't worry. It's all going to work out. Listen to your gut and smile and shine.
So beautiful. And what is your happy spot? Like when you need to reset, reflect, recharge, where do you like to go, or what do you like to do?
I really like taking baths. So baths are very rejuvenating for me. So I would say anything that's a bath or a spa enables me to get grounded and centered. If that's not possible, going out for a walk is just as good.
Yeah, I'm with you on the bath. That's my happy spot too. If I can't go to the beach, I'm like a hot bath with some good Epsom salt and some essential oils and a good book usually.
And some music, maybe some candles.
Yes, it's perfect. If you had to pick one person, I know it's super hard, that's made the biggest impact on your life, who comes top of mind and why?
Well, I mean, in terms of an actual, I would say God, which isn't a person, but believing in something higher than myself has always enabled me to get through tough issues. If it's one actual person, I would say my husband, though he hasn't been with me my entire life, but he as like a real person would be that. But I will say that God has helped me tremendously in believing. Now, some people may believe in yoga, or they may believe in whatever they believe in. But for me, having that sense of it's going to be okay, reflection, and believing in something higher than myself.
Thank you for sharing that. And if I could give you a plane ticket to anywhere in the world today, which I don't know if I can or not anymore, but if I could, where would you go and why?
I would go to Bhutan because I've never been there, and supposedly it's the happiest place on earth. That's what I've heard, and it's supposedly very beautiful. Though I would have to go to England to meet my in-laws because I haven't met them yet. So I feel like that would be my obligation. But if I could go anywhere and we weren't in this COVID time, I would say Bhutan.
Yeah, and you definitely need to meet the in-laws. That's an important step.
No.
I hope that you can do in the very near future so that you can meet
Yes,
the whole entire family.
exactly. Though we may know each other more because we FaceTime and WhatsApp all the time. So we have a great relationship. We just haven't physically met.
Yeah, you need to have that first hug.
Exactly.
When you hear the words attract and stand out, what does that mean to you?
It means being true to yourself and to make sure that the individual, that authenticity is there. Because once the individual is themselves, then attraction happens. Then everything can happen. So that's what it means to me.
Love it. Anne, this has been absolutely a blast having you on the podcast. Thank you so much for carving out time out of your day to be here. I know people are going to want to connect with you and with the whole entire family of Huntington Learning Center. Where do they connect with you? And then how do they connect with the whole organization?
Sure. So folks can connect with me on LinkedIn and Huntington Sharma. That's the best way. And then for Huntington Learning Center, if you're interested in programs for your children, that's huntingtonhelps.com or 1-800-CAN-LEARN. If you're interested in opening a Huntington Learning Center, that's huntingtonfranchise.com. And we are here to help.
Amazing. And I know you have a free gift for our listeners today. Can you tell us what that is?
Yes. Should a listener call 1-800-CAN-LEARN for services for their children and they mention this podcast, they can receive a $50 off coupon for the academic evaluation, which is the initial exam that children take when they are coming into Huntington Learning Center.
Amazing. Such a generous gift, Anne. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Before we part, do you have any final words for the audience?
I would say this is now January 2022. Make those goals a reality. So write them down, have that vision board, and then in a year, see what actually is possible, because anything is possible.
So good. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for another episode of the Attract and Stand Out podcast. I hope you enjoyed our conversation as much as I did with Anne today. If you liked it, please hit subscribe and leave a review. Your review means so much to us. And if you don't, get on out of here. We don't need you here. Just kidding. We love all of you. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Attract and Stand Out. As always, know that I believe in you. You're allowed to stand out. You're allowed to shine. You're allowed to be you. We'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.